You are live. Testing. Come on. Somebody tell me they can hear me and not be choppy. Somebody tell me that any of these microphones work. We got a world-renowned, world-famous Scott Romer in here. This thing's got to work today. Testing. Anybody? Is this thing on? Is this thing live?
Damn.
Could be the live show we've ever done. Sounding good. All right. Hey, Sean, can you hear this microphone, this head microphone? Is it coming through? Testing on the headset mic. Can you hear that? Back and better than ever. Hot damn. Rip, can you scoot over here, man? Get Romer in this picture. Episode 14 of live Q&A, baby. Lilas Studios. Oh, okay. Join me then, Romer. Rip just stepped out for a minute. We got Scott Romer in. World famous Scott Romer, that is. What's up, guys? Romer, welcome to the show. Welcome to Lilas Studios. He's probably work. You got to kind of talk into these mics, though. They're not the ones that pick up real good. We'll put you front center. We'll move Rip over there when he comes back. Get you the big boy mic. Rip likes that little bitty mic. Welcome. We're live. This is your first live with us, isn't it, Romer?
For a while, when you first started, I was on your program a couple times.
What happened? You just started no-showing after that.
Busy. Yeah, I had a
I got busy.
I don't know if that's a good enough excuse.
I don't know if that's something to laugh at, but it was funny how you said it. I got the stroke.
Well, I had a stroke covering Rip's school reunion that he got me.
Now you got to talk up. You got to speak up on this stuff.
I had a stroke.
There you go.
Back in August when I was photographing Rip Rogers' 50th high school reunion in Seymour, Indiana. I had pulled out my camera equipment, which was quite heavy, wheeled it into the venue where they were having the reunion, and all of a sudden I collapsed, and it was a stroke. It blocked my throat. I couldn't swallow at all, and I told Rip, "Something happened to me. Get me something. Get me something." That I could.
You're going to traumatize our whole crowd here today,
right? So what's he do? He brings me peanuts.
What?
I can't swallow.
This is a wrestling show, and we're going through the medical history of Scott Romer here. What's
in the long run? He stood by my side and was there to pick me up from the hospital, and
that was nice of him.
And now I'm living.
So you made Rip miss his high school reunion. I remember we talked on this show for like weeks at a time about all the top stars. He was going back to Seymour, Indiana to see all the girls, all the legend ladies he was going back to see. And Scott Romer, you basically ruined the whole thing.
Well, I certainly didn't mean to, but he stayed a little bit and then came and visited me. And I told him to get back out there and enjoy himself. I don't know if he did or didn't. But a month later, he came and picked me up from rehab, and I took him in, and we got our massages from the legal massages, I may say.
Oh, that's more.
I just, to relieve the problem. And
all right, enough about you almost dying, Romer, and running Rip's reunion. This is a wrestling show, man. This is not a soap opera. This is which wrestling is. Can you read any of those comments? I got you, computer. Sean, looking good, sounded good. Big Al Robinson in the house. What's up, Big Al? Headset mic's good. Dennis Ramsey's in the house. He's from Canada, man. He's a Canadian.
One of my first photo assignments for Stu Hart's Stampede Championship Wrestling.
Is that right?
In Calgary, Canada. I also shot Bearman's territory in, where was that? London, Ontario.
Oh, that's cool. So you guys familiar with that? So Scott Romer is the former son-in-law of Dick the Bruiser. For you guys that don't know and didn't watch our early episodes that we had on.
I'm still paying for that, by the way.
Former son-in-law of Dick the Bruiser, got in with Bruiser. How old were you when you started with Bruiser?
Oh, I was fascinated by watching championship wrestling on Channel 4. I remember playing with the rabbit ears to try to picture. And finally, when it was Dick the Bruiser and the Crusher, and I fell in love with the business. So that would have been probably mid-'60s.
Mid-'60s. Yes. So then you got in with Dick like in high school, though, right?
Just before you started
banging it. You didn't bang his daughter first. You started banging his daughter after, right?
Yes, sir. Okay. Exactly. David McClain, Glow, and Women Are Wrestling, and I were best of friends in high school, in grade school. And we used to go to the shows together, and eventually we worked our way in and started photographing up at the ring. And this was right after 8th grade. So 1974, 75 was when we started. And David, of course, went on to create Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling and Whistling, and I went on to being international boxing and wrestling photographer, traveling around the world, working with presidents and prime ministers, chief justices, actors and actresses, some of the most powerful people in the world. And it's from all actions I made in wrestling and boxing. That's how I got there.
You don't want to put yourself over.
I want to put the show over.
Oh yeah, that's what it sounded like. It sounded like you were putting. It sounded like you were putting the show over right there.
And put myself over. Of course, people are not familiar with all the things that I have done, and I think they are newsworthy, and that's why I published a book.
Here it comes, baby. We're going to get right into the book.
The book is called When It Was: My Life on Both Sides of the Camera, and it features
Hold it up to that camera right up there. Okay. That's where we're filming.
Okay, right on.
There you go.
There we go. You can buy this on Amazon, or you could go through me, ScottRomerPhoto.com. I do Zelle or PayPal. I've got lots of experience in the traveling with the different wrestlers, and stories are involved. Wow, the stroke really has affected me. I'm not speaking as clearly as
you're doing
wish
great,
I could.
Man. You're fine.
But I documented through photography and my own narration with other wrestlers and good friends of mine to tell stories about some of the big things that we used to that were worth recording.
I mean, just to let you guys know, I mean, there's Romer's a youngster with Dick the Bruiser. This book is filled with legendary pictures. Andy Kaufman. Who else is on that page?
We've got a lot of narration. You don't go.
There's a lot of
pictures.
I
like pictures. My share of narration.
I mean, you name him, Romer has got his picture with him. Harley Race.
There's the three husbands.
Husbands.
That's one reason to get the book is that these are the three husbands of Michelle, which is Spike Huber, number 1, myself being husband number 2. The Golden Lion being husband number 3, and then she went back to Spike, and they've been married happily ever after and living in Memphis.
All of them, former son-in-laws and current son-in-law of Dick the Bruiser. Let's see if we got any questions in here. This is a Q&A, Romer. It's just not the life story of Scott Romer.
Okay, so, right on.
Big Al says, like, subscribe, and smash. That's right, baby. Go like this video right now. Good job, Big Al. Everybody go hit the like button right now. We need all the likes we can. If you're not a member, become a member. Hey, I see a lot of green people in here. I put out a video. It looks like a lot of you watched it. I put out a video today, a match where Rip was wrestling. I think it was Mike Allen was his name. And then Bugsy comes out and throws the pie in Miss Brenda's face. So that is for subscribers only. Members only, I should say, not subscribers only. Members only. Go check that out. Vet's in here. Opinion Haver. Let's see. We got a question for Rip or anyone. Do you remember the smelliest woman you ever were with after a match? No. I mean, why does it have to be after a match? I like smelly is upstairs, downstairs. So I've been with remember when we were down to, I better not say it. I already got too, but I've been in the ring with a smelly girl before. BO, body odor. I've been with a smelly girl before to do with wrestling.
Always do the stink test, of course.
Yeah, do you? Let's see. Buckshot Kid. Who you enjoy wrestling? Oh, no, it's Dennis asking. Buckshot, you a wrestler? SK, baby. David Linville, rest in peace. Lanny Poffo back with his brother. Yeah, we did that actually. We tried to go on live first. David, we put out our condolences to Lanny Poffo and any remaining family, and rest in peace, Lanny. We actually did episode 50, the second half of it. We did 10 photos of Rip and Lanny Poffo together. 10 photos of Rip and Lanny Poffo together, and so that'll be on episode
Lanny
50.
and me.
Hey, there's Scott Romer with Lanny. Romer, do you know?
I don't even remember.
You don't remember?
No, I don't.
Spike Huber name I haven't heard in a long time. Yeah, Spike and Romer. You guys went to high school together, didn't you?
Well, he was a few ahead of me at North Central High School. I was class of 78. I think he was class of 74. He married Michelle Bruiser's daughter shortly after high school.
And then Romer came in and took her right from him. So
took over the bills as well. Being a step parent, it wasn't the easiest thing, but I've got nothing but praise from Michelle for the way she raised her kids. She was a very decent woman. Lots of good memories.
And I remember watching Spike as a kid. I mean, I always thought he was good.
A solid wrestler for sure.
Yeah. Who else was in that? Did he partner with Regal at all?
Yes.
The old,
yes.
I mean, not Lord Regal, but
Steve Regal,
Mr. Electricity.
Yes,
Wasn't that his name?
The Young Lions, they formed a tag team.
Is that what they're called?
And they were even wrestling and defending the WWA tag team champ in Memphis when for a short time Bruiser co-promoted some shows with Jerry Jarrett.
Oh, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
So did you actually you managed some back then, but did you wrestle at all? Did you have matches?
I have had matches. There's excuse me. Google me on YouTube or go to YouTube. You'll see some of my matches. Excuse me.
Yo, go ahead, get your breath. Anybody in the chat got questions? We got questions. Give me another picture here, Romer.
Okay. Right here.
What we got here?
That's me at the ticket counter with at the airport in Puerto Rico with Onita. And I was employed by Onita for a short time as well.
What's the Onita story?
Well, the official photographer for the most horrendous wrestling angle in the history of wrestling, and that's the infamous Onita stabbing angle that he did with Jose Gonzalez.
Oh, really?
Who killed Bruiser Brody. And 2 years later, Onita was going to bring Gonzalez to Japan to have a match. And the matter is, and this is just rumor, but it had me scared to have Jose Gonzalez assassinated by the Yakuza. And they used me as the photographer to take pictures of a fake stabbing angle that appeared to be real, and just on the front page of the Japanese newspaper.
The Heat?
I wasn't really that much involved. Here's a shot I did of Jose Gonzalez. I walked right into a building and ran right into Jose Gonzalez, and then I'm going, what the hell? Onita had picked me up in a limousine as I waited in the airport. We went straight to the WCCW studios in Puerto Rico that was owned by Jose Gonzalez, Carlos Colon, and Victor Quiones.
Man.
And I wasn't told of what my photo assignment was, but I grabbed Onita's suitcase and walked it into the building. That was when I ran into the first person for me to see was Jose Gonzalez.
How about that? So did Romer stay in contact with Randy while Randy lived in Staten Island, New York? Is that Randy Savage? What Randy are you talking about?
Well, my connection with Randy Savage was just as a photographer, where he was presented the National Italian American Sports Hall of Fame, given an award there, and being inducted into the Hall of Fame, as well as the wrestling matches in the 80s. Before he was with WWF, I was covering his territory and practically every other territory in the,
But you and Randy weren't like tight, like
no, absolutely. So they can't, we've I am in the video beyond, what's it, the Beyond, the one that Rock does. What is that TV show called?
Young Rock?
No.
Oh, the
documentary.
You're in one of those?
I'm in the Randy Savage one where he pushes me down. They showed a clip of him shoving me at ringside as he was walking to the ring.
Oh, really? That's pretty wild. Manny Weasel Valverde. You know T Weasel, right? You know Manny? You got
yes,
know
I
Manny
remember Manny.
Seymour?
Manny from Seymour.
One of the Seymour punks.
Oh, yes. Manny and I have a history. And when Rip was boxing, we were driving Rip to the wrestling shows. Plus, I was managing Rip myself, and Manny was always with us. Fun guy.
Yeah, Manny was the we don't put Manny over like that on the show.
Really?
No. He was a Seymour punk, but he didn't make this picture. These are the real Seymour punks, Manny, right here. Rip Rogers, Von Lilas, Lucky Scott Sandlin, and Rod Steele, baby. The real deal, Rod Steele. These are the Seymour punks, Manny. You're not in this picture.
Right there. That is a classic, I might add.
Yeah. Let's see. Manny's in training. So him and Rip's boy, Eric Jimenez, they're going to have this pose off. We got a pose off coming between two heavyweights. They're in training for a pose off. Manny said he's in training right now. He says Shawn Michaels, showstopper, T Weasel, show saver. He came on live last week with us and claims to be a show saver.
Well,
what else? Give us another picture, Romer.
Let's
pull one out.
Okay, here's one right here.
Who we got there? Is that Ray? Or is that that's
that was
Ray Mysterio?
They picked me up at the airport.
And Conan
and picked me up, and we had stopped out over at a KFC in Mexico, and I took a picture of them.
Wow.
And Ray looked like a 15-year-old kid, but he was wrestling.
We got that.
And this was actually before WWF. And before he wrestled WWF, but I think Conan might have been with WCW at the during that time.
It's pretty wild. You took that picture?
Yes, I did.
Media M5. He's a member of the show. Randy Savage used to live behind the Staten Island Mall. Didn't know that. Didn't know he was ever a Staten Island guy. T Weasel says, glad to see Scott up and moving. Congrats on the rehab.
Thank you very much. I'm not 100 by any means, but I'm enjoying life.
Here we got a picture of
I used to take Bruiser Brody out.
Bruiser Brody,
and that was downtown Indianapolis, or maybe that was Keystone at the Crossing. It's been over 35 years since I took that picture, but we used to do photo shoots with Brody on the street, and they were published in the Japanese wrestling magazines.
Wow. That's why you're the world famous photographer. Let's see. Dennis Ramsey in the house. He says, any stories on Dusty Rhodes? I mean, I don't personally have any stories on Dusty. Romer, did you have any encounters with the Dream, baby?
There were people that were high up in the office, and the way I was able to, sneak around and do get away with murder in the wrestling business.
Surely Romer didn't sneak around.
Stay invisible when I was doing my shoots. So whenever Dusty, I didn't have a lot of contact with Dusty, although he was at many of the matches that I used to photograph.
Not much. Not many stories on Dusty here. What other questions? Give me another picture. We don't have any questions right now in the chat.
Let's see. Here, this is
who we got here.
Well, we've got Baba and Tiger Mask and Taruda, Jumbo Taruda.
Did you take this picture?
And I'm
Are you
sitting. I'm in
right there. You're in the
Jimmy
middle.
Suzuki.
Oh, wow.
This was when I was working for All Japan Wrestling and flying out territories with them.
Look at Romer right there in the middle. Is that you with the mustache?
Yes, that is with the porn stash.
When did you have a porn
and right
stash?
there is Giant Baba.
Wow.
And Giant Baba, Shuey Baba, was ranked number 92 on the 100 most hysterical people in most historical people history of Japan. Number 92. That comes from Wikipedia Encyclopedia 2006.
They want to know what Baba was like. Baba. What was he like?
He was a good guy. Well, I was, since I'm American and I spoke in, I was, I would, while he was touring the United States, he'd give me money, and then I would go and buy the beer and stuff like that for the boys. And so I sat with them, and to get ahead in the business, you always have to, take your time and work your way in. And my way of working my way is not only taking pictures for the Japanese magazines, but also being Baba's what would you call it?
Boy toy?
Coat on his coat tail, more or less. I'm sorry.
A boy toy, I thought.
Yeah.
Give me another picture. I think. Don't know if anyone asked you yet, but any stories on Jim Cornette while taking pictures?
Jimmy.
I mean, so how?
Jimmy used
do you know
to buy
your age?
pictures.
Are you guys the same age? Or?
He's a little bit younger than me, but he used to come to the WWA Bruiser wrestling shows.
Time out. Were you guys photographers? You think at the same time?
Yes.
So did you have like a competition at all? Like, did you know? Oh, this guy's a.
He used to buy a ringside ticket with his mother and sit at ringside at Bruiser's shows.
Did he really? At Bruiser's?
With this very nice lady. And I knew him as Jim Cornette, who came in from Louisville. He had a pasty white, not very tan, nice guy. And I used to photograph this was when I was photographing Bruiser's shows. He was historian for Bruiser's territory. And then then one day I went to Louisville on a photo assignment, and my God, they were sold out. And the line of people waiting to buy a Jim Cornette picture was amazing. And I saw a whole new side of wrestling, because Bruiser at that time, Bruisers was the only TV show that you saw. And down to Louisville and seeing what he had accomplished. I was very impressed. And I was there when he started managing, and I was actually photographing him, and he has become one of the most influential people in pro wrestling. Always has interesting stories. So, but in the beginning, he was buying pictures from me, and I could always count on him for spending, $20, $30. I was selling pictures at the ring during intermission for $1, $1.50 a picture, and he would just buy a whole bunch. And then he turned, I thought was my idea, into a big, I wish I could have done the numbers that he did, more or less, but I never made a lot of money as a photographer. But it's the experience. It's meeting people like you and Rip
like me,
and traveling around and having fun.
You got pictures with presidents, and you're gonna say meeting people.
Well,
like
I treated everybody the same. Each and every photo, every time I'm a guest on a show or on a photo assignment, it's a new experience, whether they're multimillionaires or they're poor like you.
So here's my question. So you said, first of all, when Cornette came to Bruisers, was that him going from Louisville to Indianapolis? Are you talking about when Bruiser ran Indianapolis?
When Bruiser was running Indianapolis,
him and his mom would come to Indianapolis.
He and his mother. He was probably 15 at the time, and they would come, and they were wonderful people.
Okay, so here's my next question. You said when you went to Louisville and you saw all these people in line for Cornette's pictures, were they getting their picture like with you're talking about the pictures he had taken?
He had taken pictures, the fabulous ones.
Yeah.
This was before him wrestling, and then he was introduced to the world as a manager.
Yep. But he was just taking the pictures and selling them.
I think it was Dutch Mantel. He managed Kamala. That was early in his career, and he used to wear a sailor hat. And what a good talker! I couldn't compete with him. the Saul Creechman gimmick at that time as well. As Bruiser's son-in-law, he stuck me in front of the camera. Hopefully I sold a few tickets from my promos.
I'm sure you did, man. I'm sure you did. Thanks for the question, Ben. That's a good question. Good story on Cornette, man. Good job, Romer.
Thank
Dennis Ramsey, Scott, who was the best to work with? Best questions are always hard, I would think, but was there ever somebody that just stuck out that you really liked?
Well, Jerry the King. I had access to anywhere I wanted to go in all the different territories. One of the things I used to do was when I do a story on a wrestler or do a photo shoot, I would get their address, telephone number, and send that in with my paperwork and my film to Gong Wrestling Magazine. So the Japanese Baba had access to those names and numbers, and every once in a while somebody that I did a story on would their career automatically catapulted from their early career to getting published worldwide in the magazines. So word on backstage that I was, a good guy, and most everybody wanted to be published in either Afters magazine or the Japanese magazine. So I never had a problem with anybody.
Well, give us a Lawler story. You said Lawler, and then you kind of went off on a tangent. Give us a you got any Lawler story?
Lawler. I was the official for the St. Louis Wrestling Club. That was Pat O'Connor, Bob Gobble, and Bulldog Bob Brown. They ran at the Kiel Auditorium, and I happened to be leaving the Kiel girl that I had picked up, and he didn't want to get a hotel, so he got into the back trunk area of a Datsun Z. The small Datsun, so he was in there with the tire all hunched over, and I ended up driving him to the airport that way.
Oh wow. It's a good story.
So that was and there were times that I'd meet him at Jerry's restaurant in Jeffersonville, Indiana. Remember Jerry's?
Yeah, yep.
Right.
Yeah.
And we would just talk. He had Coco Beware driving him around at that time. So Jerry and I've over the years I've run into Jerry as a wrestler in his 70s, and he's quite good at what he can do. He can still throw a drop kick and get a guy's chin at 73 years of age. So that's one of the reasons why I love the business, is reconnecting with these legends, seeing them at the Fan Fest. And
another picture over there.
Let's see.
We got here. Was that the Pope? Who are these people? That's Buddy? Is that Buddy? Who is that?
Well, that is Ron Onesti. He is the president of the National American Sports Hall of Fame. Well, wait.
All right,
that's got a belt. It's the same thing. Right. And Ron gave me the National Italian American Sports Hall of Fame Friendship Award from the Italian people, and a week later he was with a private meeting with the Pope.
Oh, so you're
I'm with a guy.
So it's like a guy
that's
the
same
Pope.
Guy. Right over there next to the Pope that's standing next to me.
I see
so
now. I see
that
the
was
connection.
And I'm not Italian. That's the amazing part. Every year, the person that has gotten that award has been Italian, but me.
How about that? Sean, ever crossed paths with Paul Heyman while he was a photographer? Was he a photographer too?
He sure absolutely was. And early in our careers, and the same goes with Jim Cornette, there was a regional wrestling magazine called Wrestling News.
I have some.
And Norman Keatzer was the publisher. And Paul Heyman used to shoot out east. Cornette shot the southern part of the country, and I shot Chicago and Torian Gagne's territory. So our pictures were published with our name credited, of course, in the to upper 70s as well. So we go back that long or even longer.
So Heyman wrote for that magazine, didn't he?
We all did.
So you know who else wrote for that magazine?
Who?
My dad, the King.
Did really?
King Carl he had an article on Ox Baker in that magazine. He did like 2 or 3, 4 articles.
You know, your dad was a good guy, and
well, he still is.
At
still
one
alive.
of those at one of those monumental OVW shows that they had outside, and
that was at 4th Street in Louisville.
Yes, he and I sort of every time I see you, I think of him, and hope he's doing well.
That was the 1000th show, I think, for OVW.
Right.
And then after that show, I don't know what you did after that show. Me, the King Carl, and Rip went to the riverboat. We went gambling that night.
You know,
I don't know what you did. So we're at the boat. We're playing blackjack.
Yeah.
My dad are playing blackjack. You can't have like phones. You know how Rip's addicted to his cell phone, right?
Right.
So we're at blackjack. Rip's standing there filming, and they're like, "Sir,
get out."
And then Rip said, "Oh, I can't be on my phone." Then I'm going to the room.
Yeah, he got mad. And he stopped out.
So he left.
Uh-huh.
He couldn't be on his phone. So here we always talk about the king shaking his head. So you can't talk. That's it, baby.
Yeah. All right.
So let's see. Let's see if I can get back to these comments. Any fun Phyllis Lee stories? Who's Phyllis Lee?
Phyllis Lee, wasn't she a photographer shooting in the Carolinas?
I don't know Phyllis Lee.
Phyllis Lee.
Visvex. I don't know that name.
That's what I'm thinking. Was there a photographer by the name of Phyllis Lee? I know that there was an actor photographer by the name. Remember, we're going back to the 70s and early 80s. I've had 3 strokes.
What does it say? I'm okay. I'm a WAP. What's a WAP? Is that like a?
Oh yeah, no. That's an Italian could call each other.
Oh, you guys can do that.
I better not do
Happy
it.
you got away. Okay, so sorry if I said I didn't
right.
want to offend anybody there. Sorry. I love Wrestling News and Wrestling Eye. Wrestling News was awesome, man. Wrestling News. My dad's got some articles in there. I've still got them. I've got them in the basement somewhere. I got some Wrestling News magazines. Those were awesome.
Did I show you this one?
Well, who's this? Dennis said, "Where did Rip go?" I don't think Rip was. I don't know, man. We just did our show. Rip's been on the phone. He's got some bookings coming up and things like that. So I think he's trying to get some arrangements made. He may or may not be back in here. He's going to some. There he is, right there. Fan Fest, different things like that. Rip's got a lot of irons in the fire right now. He's just so over, baby, that even a live show of Wrestling with Rip Rogers is so over that he and so busy he's not even on his own show here today, Romer. But there he is. I can see him now. We even got his Fred and Toby microphone ready. We got a chair ready. If you just pull it over here and sit down, he could get in here for a while. It's right there, Rip. That's Bruiser, isn't it?
Yeah, that was my wedding. That was my wedding day. Yeah.
The wedding day. Look at that.
My wedding day.
Dick the Bruiser, baby. Sorry.
That is Bruiser.
Roman looking good. The hot
Michelle.
wife.
Yeah. It was not a white wedding dress. She wore a designer Michael Hoban outfit, which was like $2,000.
Yeah, but you got to pay for it.
I got to pay for it, exactly.
Can you help him with that chair or anything? Or what's he doing over there?
Wires around my fucking leg.
Ah, good Lord.
Here's one that you might
hold on. Let's see what we got. I had over 1,200 wrestling magazines from years collecting. From 8 years old, divorced, got them all. So your wife wanted the wrestling magazines in the divorce? That's kind of weird. Seems like you could at least got those.
You know, with the ones where we grew up from, those wrestling magazines. Rip and I were talking about that the other day. We would wait at a drugstore for the shipment to come in on like a Thursday, and they would come in all bundled with other magazines, and they'd set everything out, and we would for them to display those magazines so we could spend wasting our life reading the magazines. Nice. And
here, I'll just give chocolate to the
Rip Rogers in the house.
I've been eating those.
Go. Now push that Fred and Toby mic over toward Rip there so people can hear him. Let's see. It says Visvex. She was a photographer talking about Phyllis Lee. Photographer as well managed Sabu and Dan Severin. I know. Never heard of her.
Dan
you did?
Yeah.
Oh. Mm-hmm. So you know then?
Mm-hmm.
Rip knows Phyllis Lee.
Whose girlfriend was she?
Sabu's, wasn't it?
No, years ago.
Said she managed Sabu and Dan Severin.
No, that was.
How about Mike Samples? He mentions Mike Samples here.
Okay.
Met her and Romer at the same time at Mike's sample shows. Fistfex, where are you from, man? I don't know who. I don't know her. Really enjoy seeing Mr. Romer. Please, if you can have him on more. Try to get him here. He's always busy on Friday somehow.
Well,
Stocks, baby.
What happens? He's an entrepreneur, and he's busy juggling the stock market. Yesterday, he had me going off to two legends. I went to the state. He's with all the boxing legends of Indianapolis. And then that night, we was at the boxing show, and we had he's the premier for, so he's doing the shots for the fans with this boxer, that boxer. They want pictures with him. So he's making all the jing. And I'm just sitting around there like a goof, and then he supplies me with a place. It's got the Mexican buffet,
So he's too over to be here on Fridays.
And you got a piece of my dollar pie that I bought.
I got a piece.
While we're talking about people in the studio, all you guys next Friday, supposedly next Friday, live in the studio, not even on streaming, but in the studio, Kevin Thorne, a.k.a. Mordecai, is supposed to be in Lilas Studios next Friday, 12 o'clock noon, live. Come with your questions. Come with your super chats. Next Friday, February 10th, live. Mordecai, Kevin Thorne, WWE, ECW superstar, right here, Romer. Going to be in your seat probably.
Well, I'm sure he's more worthy than for, being on your program. So anyhow, I'm just joking. I'm very honored to be here. This Vex used to wrestle as American
the kickboxer.
How you doing, my brother?
All right.
I shot a lot of his matches. I watched a video of him just the other day.
The American kickboxer?
Yes. He wrestled Indianapolis and surrounding areas, in his share of hardcore matches. And watched him at the peak of his career, all the way down to, where he got some serious back injury, worked around it. I have nothing but admiration for him, and I hope he's doing well. How you been doing, Kick?
Nice. Is right. She needed the mags meant something to me. So the magazines, my ring, my tapes, my wrestling. She took it all. Damn, hell of a divorce.
Sorry,
buddy.
Divorces are not fun, and an irate woman will destroy your stuff. So it's best to keep some of your stuff away from them.
Rip with the look. Frank's Pickle Barrel ass in the house. He's green because he is a member of the show, Romer. He's a member. Hello, Chopper, Rip, and the other guy. The other guy is world famous, world renowned photographer Scott Romer. Dennis Ramsey, Rip, you are the man superstar. Putting over Rip. Rip, what's your favorite wrestling move? You got a favorite wrestling move, Rip?
Yeah, shoulders down.
Shoulders down, baby. His favorite move is shoulders down.
Just pay me.
It's 24 degrees in New Jersey, Rip. How do you keep the hammer warm?
That's why you got extra socks you put on there.
Socks on the hammer.
A wool sock on there.
Who's this?
Well, that's my grade school 8th grade picture. That's David McLean of Glow Wrestling and Women of Wrestling fame.
Wow.
That was us in the 8th grade. We went to a private school, Orchard Country Day School. And I met David. We became best friends in the 4th grade. The other person in the middle is Chris Reisenberg, and that was our wrestling pose. Remember the Valiants that used to
that's the Valiant pose?
We would yeah. I was infatuated with Jimmy Valiant.
I was too, man.
Yeah.
Boogie.
We're talking about wrestling news.
Is this a wrestling
and that
news?
is one of my front covers. Look who's on the back of it. Jose Gonzalez, out of all people. So I got my exposure very, very early in life.
You in this wrestling news?
Yes, I am. I did the cover of Bobo Brazil. My name will be
Romer did the cover. Is your name on there?
Well, it will be. Talk to him while I look.
Okay, Romer's gonna look for it. Wrestling news. Romer doing the cover of wrestling news. Let's see. No, not fun. Yes, she was a vibe. Well, damn. Chris Bradshaw, hello, Rip. One of my favorite ring entrances is yourself and Miss Brenda at the Battle of the Belts in '85. No nonsense. Walked in like you owned the place. She led you to the Stones' hot stuff. Battle of the Belts 85. Where was that, Rip?
In Tampa.
Did you win?
No.
You walked in serious and lost?
Yeah.
I never really saw you walk in serious too much, did you? You always walk in. Seems like those ones I'm doing now. Well, I guess you kind of did, but she was always must have had your game face on for Battle of the Belts. So
must have been. I know there was a hurricane out.
Oh, maybe you were just maybe you were scared of the hurricane.
They had almost 8,000 people there, and on the news they're telling you don't go out.
Holy shit! Oh, really?
This? Look at this. This was in the wrestling news. We would be able to get anything we wanted published and get it. Here on one of the pages is photographers at work. That's me and Jeff Cohen, my buddy from grade school as well.
Scott Romer's whole life story in the wrestling news. He put it in himself. He's like
printing the pictures. We're in the same issue with Bobo and Jose Gonzalez.
Yeah, we already showed him.
Who would know that 20, 30 years later, I would do a run-in thing with Jose Gonzalez after the fact.
Oh, foreshadowing, I think that's called.
Is that what it? Right on.
Dennis Ramsey says YouTube rock singer Dennis Ramsey put himself over as a rock singer. Hey, if you guys haven't went and liked this, go like it. Make sure that you're in on next Friday with Kevin Thorne. And we haven't plugged Rip's book. Romer's been plugged shit. Rip's book here. Wrestling, something's called The Book on Pro Wrestling. I can't even read right now. Lessons from Rip Rogers. I put a video out to Tony Khan personally, trying to sell him my copy for half price. I have not heard, Rip, back from Tony Khan yet, whether he's going to take me up on that offer or not.
He's probably still drooling on the Outrunners.
We'll get to the Outrunners here in a minute.
They were on AEW just the other day.
You watch them?
Yes.
I want to show you this here real quick, Romer, and then we'll get to some Outrunner talk. We talked about them on the show. We just recorded, but
good workers. I like them. It's a devastating chop.
Seymour, Indiana.
And I think it was raining at that time too, wasn't it?
So if you guys have not checked out the Outrunners run AEW Dark on YouTube against the House of Black. And then they were on Wednesday on AEW Dynamite against the tag champs, the Acclaimed. They did kind of get squashed in that match, Romer. Did you watch the Wednesday's match?
Yes, I did. It was, but their foot's in the door. That's
what's
what
in
matters.
The door.
Watch Willie Mays strike out 4 times to 17-year-old Gary Nolan at Crosley Field, Cincinnati. So Willie Mays hit a home run. He has bad games too.
Yeah, he did. Oh, I thought yeah.
Well, at least they did. They spun.
They need more spins. Hey, what we need everybody to do, we got, all 10 of you on here right now. We need you to go and put over the Outrunners on any kind of social media. Not over the top. Just, hey, man, these Outrunners are awesome. Tweet out. I know if you follow Turbo Floyd or what's Turbo and Floyd. Turbo Floyd. What's the other one? Shiloh called Turbo. I never remember his name. Go follow them on Twitter, retweet their stuff, put them over, put them out there. The Outrunners, baby, been on AEW. They are awesome. No, I think I lost the comment somehow.
Okay.
Here they come back. Let's see what we got in here. Pondo and I spoke to you regularly, Scott, while you were rehabbing. It's great to see you're doing well. Thank you for the kind words. That's from the American Kickboxer there.
Thank you very much.
Did you take any pictures of the Poffos, Lanny and Randy?
Yes, I did. Yes. Lanny and who was the other one that he asked?
Randy.
And they worked for when Larry Matisak was part owner of the St. Louis Wrestling Club with Harley and the other guy. He broke off and started his own organization, Southern Illinois Championship Wrestling. His partner was Herb, and they used the ICW guys. And I guess this was probably about 84. And so I got to, as a photographer, I got to photograph all 3 of their matches, including Angelo's, the father.
Oh, nice. Yes, all the Outrunners up against tag champs, the Acclaimed. Rip, what was your worst wrestling injury?
Let's see. Well, I torn rotary cuff wrestling with you, Lilas.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he put me out of wrestling. I tore a quad eagle in England. Then what else I got? I broke my arm, well, my elbow, and I still can't touch my. It never healed. So that was it. Broke an elbow, and I still got my eardrum busted. Bob Eaton hit me in the ear, busted my eardrum. I was working for Nick Goulas in 1978, so he'd always rid me about that. He did potato with me. But nothing that bad, just tore a quad, tore a bicep, just little nicks and knacks.
So what I heard out of that was the worst injury was the one I gave him when I put him out of wrestling.
Yeah, you did put me out of wrestling.
Truth Magnum, yeah, that's Shiloh. Truth Magnum, hell of a scissoring, it sure was. Hey, it's Pinion Haver. Something. How tall are you, Rip? Dennis Ramsey wants to know how tall you are, Rip.
Well, the tallest I ever was 5'10" and a half.
Oh yeah,
so I'm probably about 5'9" now.
Yeah.
That's like Hulk Hogan used to be 6'8" supposedly, right? Von Lilas towers over him.
Well, sure I do. I mean,
yeah,
I'm bigger than Hogan. Get another picture of there, Romer. Or are you out of pictures?
Can relate to this guy, Fast Eddie.
Fast Eddie
Grice.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He had the Fast Eddie.
I don't know either one of these
people.
He
did the tape production for Jose Gonzalez, their organization.
You got a whole lot of you got a lot of Jose Gonzalez shit in here today.
Exactly, and he had the best dope. I'm telling you, he had the best marijuana, and on the table there, he ranked them, so he would entice you to say, "I've got yellow dot."
Kayfabe that.
It was good. It was fun time. Great guy.
Fun time smoking weed. Rip, were you a big pot smoker? No. These all repeats.
No pot, no cigarette. Pretty much Mr. Bourne.
Ah.
Well, if you go to this 1993 Superstars of Wrestling catalog from Japan, you will see. Let me go in there. It's got every major superstar, including. Hang on, drum roll. There we go. Right there.
Who is it?
Scott Romer
and
Snake Man. And I'm on the same page with Doug and Eddie Gilbert and some of the workers from Wing, which was Victor Quiones' organization in Japan. So I was over more as a photographer, celebrity / journalist in Japan than I was in the United States, honestly.
Some people are.
And
let's see. Well, since mentioned, who had the best recreational drugs?
For me, it was. I only smoke pot, but it was. It was. That's all right. Half the world has. I admitted it's going to get me. They're going to take away my insurance now, but it was. 20, 30 years ago. It was. What was that guy's name we were just talking about with the red dot? From Puerto Rico. Fast Eddie. It was Fast Eddie's.
You got a memory like
right,
I do now.
Right.
You just said it 5 seconds ago.
I know it, and then I'm forgetting. Right.
Fast Eddie had the best pot.
And by the way, Vaughn, this is good for me because it gets my brain thinking
good
again.
Glad you could make it in for therapy today, Romer.
Yes.
Rip didn't smoke pot, he says. I don't know if I believe him.
I never saw Rip smoke pot.
No, you couldn't put a cigarette in my mouth
right.
or a pot.
Right. And
how did you guys meet? Nobody out here is asked. I'll ask the question. How did you two meet? Do you know?
Well, from Bruiser's territory, when you started wrestling in the mid 70s.
That's when you and all them guys were selling pictures.
Right, David. Right.
Yeah.
And then I became run into you at different states, different territories. Now, By the way, I am the only photographer or only person in the wrestling business that got away with work with WWF and all the other different territories as a photographer. And nobody's ever been able to do that. You either worked for one or you worked for the other.
Like at the same time.
I got to work right at the same time.
But the reason for that was Rome's was younger,
Like
and he had
hand down,
and he had the big hammer, and he had the shirts like from Taiwan, like he's got on now, and he was sort of like a sexual legend. And it was due to popular demand that all these women were going to go on strike and refuse to go to wrestling. Unless they kept their man stud there. They needed to keep him busy because they just like to watch him at ringside.
Where do you get those shirts at, Romer?
Well, there's I get them from my custom tailor in Thailand.
Oh yeah, it was Thailand. I said Trinidad. It was Thailand.
And they are custom tailored to fit me perfectly.
And their plane ticket was $600 per shirt.
I'm happy.
So that's all that matters.
Rip, do you like your beavers furry or bald?
Oh, bald.
Bald, baby. Yeah.
Bald.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Like a slick beaver.
Yeah. Cocaine or angel? Assuming that's to you, Romer.
I use cocaine.
No.
Rip, I can't answer that.
Rip, did you ever get any free food being a wrestler?
They got free food last night.
Yeah, I got free food last night.
We were taken out. We have our weekly boxing lunch. I want you to come to it one day.
I wouldn't invite me.
They're down and out boxers like no, Fred Burns is there. Craig, you guys don't know their names, but me and a bunch of old boxers and people in the box together every Thursday lunch. And it's been going on for 35 years. And Rip came to our lunch, and in some cases, somebody's so honored to be at our lunch that they pay for everybody's lunch.
Wow.
And I'm resist a free meal.
No.
And I brought Rip in on it too.
So I got the free meal, and then he got me in the show last night. We're hanging out, and he's making all the money, hustling this and that. But I had the big Mexican buffet, and I was eating right up till I was ready to bust.
Wrestling. Let's see. Since Romer mentioned Thailand, any ladyboy stories?
That is personal. It's 2X rated, and we can't put that on your podcast.
So yes. You got one. Got a story.
We'll have to.
That is too personal. I remember that one time he came on here and told us about his penis injections and told the whole story about it. And then later I asked you some simple question and you said that's personal.
Oh,
right after you talked about your penis injections.
The men's clinic, baby. What a work! That's a hustle.
Before we get to this picture, man, that's a nice picture, Romer. Question out there, not really a question, comment, whatever. We are getting ready to get a new shirt, a new t-shirt on ProWrestlingTees.com, the Rip Rogers store, ProWrestlingTees.com. We're going to have an all-new design of the Wrestling with Rip Rogers podcast, this YouTube show right here. And in order for us to get this t-shirt up and it stay in the store, they told us we got to sell some of these things. They said the only way they're going to make one if we guarantee we sell some of them. So you guys got to get to the store. It's not open yet. I'll make the announcement what it is. Wrestling with Rip Rogers, Pro Wrestling Tees. We're going to have this YouTube show, a new design, a new shirt out there. We're going to start wearing them. You guys wear them. Tony Khan, I think, is going to buy one. It's going to be over, baby. So go ahead and get in there when we make the announcement. Look at that picture.
Now, how many people can say they managed Harley Race? And that's me as Saul Creechman when I managed Harley Race for Dick the Bruiser's WWA back in 1984. Wow. As Saul Creechman. That was my gimmick name. I was a combination of Eddie the Brain Creechman and Saul Weingroff. And it was Dick the Bruiser that came up with that name. So I managed, not only did I manage for Bruiser's organization, I did a gimmick wrestling.
So what was Harley like? What was Harley Race like?
Oh, what a worker. And he, you don't necessarily hear him talk when you're photographing a match, but when I was up at the ring, it was like he was throwing his voice and could make punches to the face sound like he was really hit hard by using his mouth. He didn't do the slap bullshit. You show me a match where he slaps his goddamn leg. No, you won't be. He did his by expressions and by sounds that he could make with his mouth and tongue.
Here's my question. So Bruiser, I'm sure, put you with him. What did he think of that? Did he care? I mean,
no, he was cool because I Harley for several years as being the official photographer for the St. Louis Wrestling Club, which he part owned. So he knew who I was, and he was glad to work with me on that one show. And that was the first.
Oh, it's just one show.
That one show,
oh, okay.
And that was my first match as a man. There was no training. He just said, grow a beard. You're going to be used as a manager. I grew a beard. I get to the arena. Harley's there, and they put me with Harley.
Awesome. Rip, did you ever wrestle Harley Race?
No. No, never. He was always either the champion, and he was a minority business owner of Kansas City territory. And any time I went out there, he was already gone. I think he was the king Harley Race then with WWF.
Oh yeah,
WWF at the time.
Let's see, what do we got here?
Because I remember the first time Hogan and him come into was it St. Louis, Kansas City when he had the gun who was going to shoot Hogan.
Kansas.
Was it Kansas? Okay,
yes.
Yeah.
Don Burton said, how about Dr. Tom Pritchard mentioning Rip on the podcast of Billy Corgan? I think it was actually Billy Corgan. I didn't watch it yet. I think Billy Corgan actually brought it up. So Corgan had the pictures, unless Tom gave him the pictures all pre-set up. I don't know, but Corgan had the pictures for Tom to talk about. And Rip was the first picture. Did you see that, Romer? And Dr. Tom then talked about Rip.
I didn't see it.
We're still trying to get Billy Corgan on the show with any luck. Maybe one day Billy Corgan will be a guest on the show. He should, after he talked about Rip, he should at least come on the show. Yeah, but that was cool. Thanks, Don, for mentioning that. Let's see. What else? What was the best match you ever saw? Man, I don't know. You got a favorite match, Romer?
Wow. I was there in Atlanta when did the Tommy Rich Buzzsaw ended all cage match. Hanging up 10 feet. What else? There have been so many. I can't particularly.
Best matches are tough. There's been, I've already mentioned. I think it was Pat O'Connor versus Buddy Rogers.
I shot Bruiser Brody against Ric Flair. That was exciting. It's not really.
Oh, did you really?
Yes, I did.
Holy shit!
And I shot. When the WWF first started invading territories, I was the photographer at ringside, and and so it's the crowd noise that makes you excited, and to see Hogan come out to his music theme. What was it? American,
right? Real American.
Real American. Nowadays you don't get the same crowd noise. It's entirely different than the high-pitched music to my ears type crowd noise. It's completely different. It's almost like it's controlled.
What'd you do with all those pictures? Do you still have a ton of pictures? Did you get to keep those pictures? Did you sell them all? Did you have the negatives?
A lot of my stuff went to Japan unprocessed overnight. So I never saw it unless they sent me a magazine. And the same thing is with Bill Apter. At first, they were sending me my negatives back, and then they stopped doing it. So the pictures would be exclusively for hiring me. But I do have my share of pictures that I could bring on a regular basis.
Which wrestlers got the most women? I know Cornette always said the Fabs. I think he said the Fabs were the ones that he always said got the most.
Because Stan Lane was a pussy getting motherfucker.
Yeah,
good looking guy. He knew the game. I think Stan Lane pulled more women than anybody.
I think that's what Cornette said.
I would be staying in the same hotel as the wrestlers. It was usually a nice hotel, and I could remember having a room next to Paul Orndorff and different women at different times of the night, pounding on his door Let me in, Paul. It's Sherry. Blah, blah, blah. Let me in, please, Paul. Well, he's banging another girl.
That's a good story. Let's see. See the fucking awesome people like Romer after fucking legends to give his kids wrestling memories. See them. Yeah, man. Romer he's world famous, baby. BSK didn't get a notification. Yeah, well, that sucks. Rip, see, what wrestlers did you fear? I think we've asked that question a couple times.
Of like getting in the ring with?
Yeah.
I want to get in the ring with Stan Hansen. I talked about it.
Yeah, Stan Hansen.
Yeah, he might kill you.
I was photographing a match that he was in his bow rope and hit me and broke my flash.
Stan Hansen?
Yeah.
I
think he broke the camera too.
Was he supposed to do that?
No,
no.
But I sold it, and then I looked at my camera. That was the end of that. Yeah.
You did? Did you go beat him up or anything?
I saw him later on and showed him what he did. He looked at me. Hey, you know.
So you really did show him? I would.
Like I said, we'd stay at the same hotel. All those guys would be sitting out in the lobby, having my stuff with me. You did this when you hit me.
Huh? What are you gonna do? You get more pictures over there, Romer.
Let me see. Here you go.
We've been going about an hour, so we're about ready to wrap this thing up. Dick the Bruiser
and a young Scott Romer,
and
that was, I think, captured. McLean took that picture.
Dick the Bruiser and future son-in-law
Scott Romer.
I mean, here's my question. Bruiser seemed like like a pretty tough guy, right? Of course.
Sure.
Were you ever nervous about, man, I'm getting ready to bang Bruiser's daughter? Like, were you ever like nervous, scared that he was going to do something to you, or because she had already been
I was more
banging
afraid
other people?
What he was going to do. I was afraid to leave Michelle and what he would do after that.
Yeah.
I left Michelle. I was working dead, selling motorcycles, and I got a phone. And Michelle said, "Call Dad. He wants to talk to you." And he said, "I'm not going to tell the name." And it was a rib. He said that one of the workers was caught with marijuana, and my business card was with them, and now they're going to be investigating you. They didn't investigate me. All of a sudden, IRS was called up. They were investigating my dad because they said I was being paid under the table.
And
I wasn't, and everything checked out. So that was one thing. I know that trying to get a lot of money from me, which I didn't have, for a month maintenance until the divorce was final. And I was always looking over my shoulder. There was a story when she was married to Spike. Spike left her. Bruiser sat on the back in the day they had carton milk, the square things that sat in front of your house. What do you call that?
Milk box.
A milk box. He sat on a milk box for 2 or 3 days with a shotgun. Spike come back. And the day before I left Michelle, and everything, so don't get any impression that I was because it was she had a spending habit, and that was no secret. But when I left,
is she alive?
Yes.
You think she's gonna watch this show?
Well, she's got my book and everything, and the stories are told in the book. I don't think I've talked to her since, and probably won't. But I was afraid of Bruiser during the early part of the divorce, and he really more or less stayed out of it. It was the nosy mother-in-law that had her nose in the Bruiser didn't.
Well, Bruiser knew that Michelle was. He knew how she spent,
right?
And he was just happy that he got some kind of run where he didn't have to pay.
Yeah, exactly. And I just couldn't pay any more bills, and unfortunately, a spending habit can be very much like an alcohol. Like an alcoholic could, you hide credit cards, you hide bills, so the husband doesn't see them, and eventually it was too much. Oh, I'll tell you how I found out about it, about how the bill was and how financially insecure I was. My dad had got a credit machine that you punch in the phone. Now this is 80s, so it's old technology, and it was able to up a person's credit. used that machine and coughed up my credit with her, and it was all these bills just came up, telecast or whatever you call it. You know, tons and tons of designer clothing were coming with credit cards all maxed out. But other than that,
everything was great.
Other than that, it was great.
Now, I don't know if I should say this or not, but I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway. Wasn't there like an alleged thing that Bruiser maybe somebody off a balcony once, or
no, he held Barnett by his feet, hanging out a window. Snyder's with him, and that was his way of convincing to sell him his share of the interest in the WWA.
Yeah.
Right.
So he held him over the balcony,
They had him, a 10 building, hanging him up down there.
Did he sell?
Drop him. He sold it. Yeah. Never. Yeah.
Wow. So were you worried maybe that would happen to you?
No, not at all.
He didn't do it. He didn't drop Barnett. So.
But there's a story that was in Nuvo with a picture of Bruiser on the front cover. This was over 20 years ago. And it's my narration on what it was like being in the wrestling business and being married to Bruiser's daughter. It's called Those Cold Blue Eyes, right? Uh-huh. What was your question? I forgot.
Were you worried that Bruiser was going to throw you off a balcony?
Well, no, but the day before I left Michelle, he came in wearing a German outfit, a German soldier outfit, wearing I shouldn't use the word, a German helmet, with a toy wooden shotgun that I thought was real. So he sat down in the recliner in my living room and just stared at me. Didn't say a word, but he was just ribbing me. But I'm thinking he's going to, now he knows. I mean, I had things kind of hidden where I was going to just grab the shit.
Yeah.
It was one day advance notice. I was day, and he scared the shit out.
Wow.
Just by not saying anything.
What a story, Romer. Let's see. I need to do 2 hours long. Well, hell, we're losing viewers like flies here. We're not staying on 2 hours. Romer saved my divorce. Wanted to dip my mother-in-law's face vat of acid. Jesus.
Well, I was told that I was going to get the bills. There were some second mortgages running around, and my nosy mother-in-law.
Bruiser okay with Jewish guys?
Yeah, he was. In fact, I married at Indianapolis congregation with Bruiser and Mrs. A looking at a private ceremony in the rabbi's office.
Nice. All right, get your book up here and plug it one more time. Listen, guys, next Friday, Kevin Thorne, Mordecai will be in the studio live. Money saved up for the new T-shirt, the Wrestling with Rip Rogers T-shirt that we're getting ready to put out. Go check out Romer's book on Amazon, or just pay him under the table, or whatever he said to do. When It Was by Scott Romer. It's one hell of a book.
Find me on Facebook if you want a copy.
Scott Romer on Facebook, best way to do it. We got Rip Rogers' book here, lessons from Rip Rogers. Be more punks here. Right here, everybody but Manny, because he really wasn't a Seymour punk. He was a punk outcast, baby. Romer, man, thanks for coming on today.
We'll do this again.
You were great. Great stories. I don't know if any of them are true or not.
Doesn't matter.
Tell you what,
they're entertaining.
You had some good stories today.
Oh, shoot, brother.
Here's how we always end it with the head. You gotta be able to. There you go. Starcade, baby. You heard of Starcade?
I shot that.
Shot everything. Like, subscribe, smash, remember, do it all, baby. We're out of here.